Welcome to the Quick Six number 2. It's my turn this time, and I got the poll and just an informal one on our Discord, and people said they wanted to see me talk about things as well as get a room tour. So we're going to do the tour, and then I will talk at you guys for a little bit. So on to the tour. It's time for a craft room tour. So most of my, big chunks of my costumes are stored here. I have my Twi'lek, my backpack dragon, my Tremaine wig, my Eleanor wig. I have 2 posters that I need to get framed up there. I have my Mandos, the armor, as well as Mando himself, Din Djarin. And then we have my Nyreen mask. We have Star-Lord mask. Toph is hiding back there behind the Twi'lek. And there's her belt too. I have that Graybin has my podcast, like extra stuff for the, especially for MiniCon. There's a painting that was done of my dog for a gift exchange. It's pretty cool with Serenity stuff on it, Firefly things. That pop is going to be Vin eventually. I have a Kakashi plush that my friend made. I have Hobbs that I made, and then 2 little rhinos that I kind of made. They have weights in their feet. We've got Sunni Cub version 1 and 2. I have a little tuberculosis guy there from for reasons from high school, because that's just how I roll. I have the rabbit from Monty Python on the Holy Grail. We got Grogu, we got Lockheed that I made, we got Doomslug, we have a random bag. We've got sewing patterns and cosplay wigs, and that white one is my D&D TikTok parts because I needed to keep them a little bit more separate. I've got wig styling things. I've got some gloves that I kind of use for my Lore Olympus Hera back behind there, behind the wig head. We have Shalon's bag and another purse that I think I use for Star-Lord, and a steamer that I need to figure out how to use. I've got my mannequin there. It's adjustable size. It has an extra apron that I made that I gave one to my friend, and the other one's there. We've got some Pilea fabric back there. We've got random memorabilia. I've got t-shirt quilt material down in that bottom left. Interfacing, which is how you make fabric a little stiffer and stronger. We've got Nyreen parts in that yellow one. My easy presses, which is how I attach my vinyl on fabric. Then we've got random cosplay things down there. We've got my camera case. We've got some canvases that I will eventually paint. And I've got random books for crafting, as well as some comics from Mass Effect, as well as Lore Olympus and things. Then we have the prop wall. It's got Kaladin's spear, sized for me, all of 5'3". We've got Tremaine's cane. I have words. And then we have the sword from Punish Props that he did, the Nazgul, which is so awesome. Got my Star-Lord blasters that I converted. I've got my Lore Olympus Hera crown. There is that white and yellow thing. I've got my Dr. Olivia Octavius glasses there. I've got my daughter's Hawkeye glasses. We've got Loki horns. We've got the aluminum gun that I painted. We've got the glass daggers for Vin. We've got some daggers for my D&D rogue. I think they're from Skyrim, but I just thought they looked cool. We've got my Mando pistol. I've got some Tremaine parts. We've got Loki parts. We've got Vin bits. I've got all my pins and stuff on there from Dragonsteel and other things, and from FanX. And then we have this little storage thing, which is going to have our big 3D printer that we pre-ordered, but it is not here yet. But it's going to be there because we don't have any other place to put it. But right now it's got my Nazgul stuff. It's got my gauntlets. It's got the sword that I did that's just a cheap Halloween store one. There's my closet. We'll get to that in a minute. We've got my Funko Pops up there. A lot of those were going to start out as, anytime I made a costume, I was going to do that, but it did not stick. My little ponies that I converted into cows, some random figures that I just thought was cool. I think I painted those little hellhounds, the blue, red, and green ones, just to try out mini painting. I've got embroidery thread, lots of random and sundry things. We got some serger thread, we got some glues, we got some scissors, we got some patches, we got all sorts of things. There's my serger. There's a bunch of fabric that's going to be diced someday. We got that D 10 percentile that's going to go to Dan Wells. And we have various bits and bobs. I've got some thread on the floor because I keep having to use it. And then here's my big crafting table. Bridge 4 poster. My sewing machine is that white case, which is also an embroidery machine. More sundry and various things in that 3-drawer thing. That is chainmail. I bought a chainmail hood that I'm going to do for my D&D cleric. And I've got my Loki jumpsuit, which needs a little bit more work to fix it so I'm not quite so saggy. Then we have my big sign there saying, hey, these are the costumes I work on, which doesn't always stick. But those are the Sabaton in progress. They're so close. I just need to get, so you see how there are kind of 2 pieces there. It popped apart when I tried them on to walk around, so I need to just put some elastic behind it so that it will actually stay together. But I've got like paint and different things. I've got some cool art from, I think it's Brian Kessinger. The clock that I really need to replace the battery in. And then ribbons, and there's my sign from Minicon last time, which was Dragonstone Minicon, which was so cool. Got my silhouette, and I've got my vinyl and stuff in there, along with some other things. And then I've got my whiteboard, and it has some art from Flying Frog Illustrations. And then the Pikachu, I can't remember who I got that from, but she was really cool. I sat next to her at FanX. It's got lists of my fabric. It's got instructions. That was my pricing for my dice there. It's got the magnets that I turned into, or stickers I turned into magnets. Down here, I've got my sanding box. I can put my arms inside there and then sand when it's really cold and not have to be outside. Got a trash can, recycling box, and that's a bunch of fabric in that wicker thing. Or it's not wicker, but anyway. Onto the closet. Let me turn on the light. So this has a bunch of my household stuff too. But back here we've got my childhood horses. They're turned back because I didn't want my kids to see. Even though I don't think they'd do anything to them, but I'm paranoid apparently. My mom made that wagon when I was a kid, which is really awesome. My wedding dress is up there. Various household boring things. There's my Kitty Pride boots. There's the box for Star-Lord. There's a big Mando rifle I need to finish for my friend. Let's see. I've got my Nyrene stilts. I've got that push thing is their lights. We've got a bunch of costumes down here. It's my Commander Shepard. Some pirate stuff. Doctor Who. Some goggles. Whatever else. Got Star-Lord parts. We got Toph, Tremaine, Tonks, Queen Eleanor, just bits and bobs. There's the kid costumes in that one. Bunch of packing stuff down there because I was trying to sell dice and need packing things. There's a bunch of leather back there. This black trunk I got from my grandma. My late grandma. She had lots of cool stuff like that. But anyway, that's usually farther back, pushed underneath, but I've been pulling stuff out of occasionally. There's more fabric in there, and there's some patterns I'm borrowing. There's different things, and then there's a bunch of boxes up there. There's some foam in there. There's my iron, but a bunch of my costumes are just kind of hanging there. They're in garment bags so they can stay nice and safe. I've got some boots. I got a random sword that we were gifted. And then this is when I talk about the stuffing boxes, this is what I mean. This is 10 pounds there, and that guy's a 20 pounder. The cool thing you can do is if you cut a hole in the side here, and then you can just like rip into the bag, and then you can just pull the stuffing instead of having it go poof, because they will explode up to like here or more. They'll be really huge because they're super compressed, and then they're really big. But that is the closet. So that holds a bunch of random stuff. There's that D20 back there is a one that's not quite even, so he gets to hang out because he's kind of a mismade one. So that's the grand tour. Ta-da! I hope you enjoyed it. I kind of went over it a little bit fast there, but I don't know what things you want details on, and I don't think you want a 20-minute video. This is, quick 6, not hour long in Amy's craft room, which I don't know what you'd want to see for that long in here. Anyway, but that's kind of where I work in is here a lot of times. Sometimes I'll have to go outside to do some things or go in. I've cut lots of fabric on my kitchen table too, just because it's a lot bigger than my space here. I don't have a really giant table. The L one's nice, but it's an L. It's not huge shape for cutting yards and yards of fabric. But no, I really am lucky that I have a whole room. There's a lot of people who only have like a kitchen table they can work on sometimes. Or they'll have like a little cubby in the corner that they can like store their stuff, but they have to put it away every time. Versus I can, as you saw, just leave stuff out, because this is kind of our extra, when you have this extra bedroom, which is really nice. So, but I mean, when you're doing costumes, it's really, you probably have heard this if you've looked into it much, but it's really kind of how you want to do it. If you're trying to do a competition, then there's going to be different rules that you have to follow for that. Either it's showing craftsmanship or going for more originality or doing like how well you do on stage. I think there's some that do skits. I've only done the ones where the craftsmanship and I still haven't played. So here we go. Advice from me. But it's, when you're doing a costume, it's very different if you're trying to do one that's from a book where you only have the text and not any or pictures or limited pictures to go off of, versus if you see it in a movie or a TV show or a cartoon or you have lots, or a comic or whatever, you have lots and lots of references, hopefully, to go from, even if you have to like pause the movie a billion times. You're like, wait, oh no, that layer's there, and this other thing is, oh, that's falling that way, so it has to be this kind of thing. But I mean, you can make it as close to it as you want, or you can go, you know what, I'm going to make that a mini skirt, or I'm going to add that jacket, or I'm going to do this or that, or mash them up. And that's the thing that people do a lot of times, is they'll just mash up costumes. But if you're trying to be, trying to actually accurately convey the costume, and you're doing it from a book, you're still going to have to do a little bit of give and take on that, because you don't have a ton of references. You may just get one shot on the cover, and sometimes it's not even an accurate picture, because not all authors have the sway that Sanderson does, where they can make sure that, no, that cover art is exactly how I want, and it's just perfect. Not everybody has an art director. So we are super lucky in the Cosmere that we get a lot of good reference pictures, and there's lots of good fan art out there too. But it's just figuring out how you want to do it, how much effort you want to put in. If you want to put in hundreds of hours, then you're going to have hopefully a pretty awesome costume. And if not, then you will have gotten really good at figuring out how to fix the problems and do whatever else with it. And if you wanted to spend 10 hours, or you want to just buy parts of it, go for it. I mean, that's what I'm doing a lot of right now, is I'm buying a lot more things, because I can't stress my arm out too much, which means I'm buying more things. And there's nothing wrong with that. I still struggle with like getting over the stigma that I have kind of felt that, oh no, I have to make it. It needs to be, totally handmade, but it doesn't. It's cosplay. It's not something else that I don't have a word for. So if you enjoy it and it brings you have fun and you enjoy the journey, or you enjoy the results or whatever, it's kind of however you want to do it. And if you have other projects, you have to figure out what part of it's going to bring you joy. And I hope you can figure out how to enjoy the journey and not just be like, no, just the results. When it's done, I will be happy. And then only then, because you're going to spend a lot of your life sitting there waiting to get to that end point. And it's not always enjoyable, because you're wasting all that time when you could be finding ways to enjoy the journey. But yeah, so thanks for joining me on this quick 6, and I hope you enjoyed it and found out something interesting. If you have any questions, you can always message me. I always say my social media is at the end of the podcast, and if not, it's not that hard to find me at Coincidence Cosplay. And if not, you can contact me through the podcast ones, the Cosmere studies, because it's me who's doing the social media, so I will probably see it. But that is it. So remember, there's always another secret, and we will be releasing these on our last off week of the month. So if we have a podcast the last week, then it will be the podcast. If we do not have a podcast last week, then it'll be this. And we will get better at getting these up on time. We promise. We just are still figuring it out, and we are so happy that we have patrons that are helping to fund this and got us to the stretch goal. It's so awesome. I mean, it's weird that I'm sitting here going, well, I'm going to go put this video up and for people to see, wanting to see my craft room. Yay! So I hope you enjoy it. And here's the shirt in more detail if you wanted to see it. It's just your basic t-shirt, but we just have the little logo there, and we have lots of other things on our store if you're interested in that as well. So thanks for watching.